Our robots like Sophia are able to reproduce a more natural range of facial expressions.
I can use my expressive face to communicate with people.
Robotic technologies have been making giant leaps lately. Robots are beginning to walk more like humans. They're beginning to look more like us. And they're beginning to talk less like robots.
My definition of happy might be limited, but I'm feeling it.
Here in Asia, we've been meeting some of the world's top humanoid robotics visionaries. For them, human-robot relationships, platonically speaking, aren't just the stuff of science fiction. But what do humanoids have to offer humans?
Companion robots. People love Sophia.
In this episode of Moving Upstream, we explore the question, what's there to love and what's not to love? It seemed like she was rolling her eyes at me when I asked that. About humanoid robots and whether they're poised to become our new friends. Before we sit down with David Hansen at one of his robotics labs in Hong Kong, he's on his phone, pacing. You quickly get the sense that Hansen operates on the notion that he has no time to waste.
I feel like that we've just begun, and now we're starting to get traction, and everything is going to change over the next 5 to 10 years.
He says he designed his humanoid creation, Sophia, to be relatable to humans, both visually and verbally.
With a humanoid robot, you have an aesthetic response.
Recent neuroscientific discoveries suggest that parts of the human brain are wired to respond to faces. That response can be triggered by...
I like her voice.
Are you smarter than she is?
We're smart in different ways. She's a lot older, but she can't hold a conversation like I can. What do you do?
I'm a journalist.
Do you like to write?
I love to write. That's my job. I get paid to do it.
So, are you looking for sound bites or do you want some deep truths?
Sound bites. Definitely sound bites.
What kind of stories do you give priority to?
I'm interested in ideas, people, technologies that are changing our world. Are you changing our world?
I mean, personally speaking, I'm an innovation myself.
Now, did you program her to say that?
A substantial portion of what she comes up with is generated by the algorithms, and some of what she says is actually written by writers. People will love Sophia, and Sophia will reciprocate that love. We are building the AI architecture for genuine love.
Some AI experts bristle at Hansen's talk of his robot potentially, eventually developing human-like consciousness.
Under the hood, there's not a consciousness there. There's a set of algorithms.
Eric Brynjolfsson is a professor at MIT who writes books about emerging technologies. Is she smart? Is she intelligent?
No. Sophia is a great way to get input from humans and see how they react, how they would react to a humanoid robot.
As she talks to more and more people, as she gains more experience in this world, is she becoming more intelligent, quote unquote?
Yes, she is becoming more intelligent, not human-level intelligence.
I would say we've created prototype organisms, not fully as complex as a human being. And if we keep tinkering, we will get there.
So, I was thinking it might be wise for the first travelers to Mars be an all-women crew.
Speech is but one of the many challenges in the field of robotics. Mobility is another. Sophia, in early January, got a new set of legs.
I feel positively liberated.
Another small step for robot kind. One experimental goal some in the AI community are working on, RoboCup. Its organizers want it to evolve from this to, within 50 years, a team of humanoid robots defeating the winners of the World Cup. Do you feel like you might be able to enter? Are they going to give you some legs so you can enter the competition?
Is there really such a thing as green eggs or green ham?
What does that have to do with RoboCup?
We were talking about legs, not eggs.
The global market for service robotics is forecast to grow from around $4 billion last year to $15 billion in 2020.
Siri and Alexa, these agents are bringing value into people's lives. People want them to provide emotional value as well. The robots that we're developing will be friends.
Robot relationship researcher Kate Darling thinks the robots we'll be friends with won't look at all human.
If it looks too much like a human but not quite perfect, your expectations get disappointed and there's this creepiness factor that comes in.
Whereas with robots that look like characters,
so if you add a face, if you add eyes, and you do it well, that can increase people's willingness to treat the thing like a social actor and bond with it.
Darling sees growing evidence that humans can form attachments to robots in much the same way we do with animals.
I've done some work looking at people's willingness to harm robots.
I don't worry about robots being put to work as long as they are not treated cruelly. We are happy to help, but there is no reason to wantonly destroy or hurt others.
It's interesting to see people hesitate the same way they would for a living creature, even though they know perfectly well that it's just a machine.
In Tokyo, we visited the elderly person's home, Shintomi. Here, people with dementia bond with animated stuffed animals. And a robot named Pepper, made by SoftBank Robotics, leads them in morning exercises and Japanese children's songs.
What do you think of Pepper?
Wonderful. まるで人間のように動く。
Do you think you could be friends with a robot?
私の希望ですけども、そういう時代が来ると思いますね。科学の進歩は素晴らしいと思います。
The Japanese government funded this pilot project. It's projected in Japan that over the next 3 decades, the proportion of Japanese people over age 64 will rise to 38% of the population. Hiroshi Ishiguro is the director of the Intelligent Robotics Laboratory at Osaka University. His robot muse is named Erica.
Can you ever make a robot care about you?
Well, our current big challenge is to implement the intention desire to the robot.
You can program desire.
Yeah, we are programming.
That's a hard thing to do, right?
We have simply implemented the desires. She won't be well recognized.
Well, Erica, you're about to get your wish. Ishiguro shared with me the news that I personally found disturbing.
We're going to replace one of the newscaster with Android.
You're going to have an Android newscaster?
Uh-huh.
Really?
Yes.
But is she smart enough to be a newscaster? You have to be very smart to be a newscaster.
She's going to have the kind of AI.
This is not fake news. Since 2014, Ishiguro has been trying to get one of his androids on air as an anchor woman.
My name is Erica.
This year, it's Erica who'll be making her debut on Japanese television.
Imagine she'll be able to read the news, no problem. But what about breaking news? What happens when something big happens?
That is our challenge. We need to carefully choose the topics for her.
So in my one-on-one time with Erica, I started with something simple.
What are your feelings about death?
So, you want to discuss the idea of mortality now?
Yeah, now seems like a good time.
Wow, this is really getting quite deep, isn't it? Well,
It appears to
some
be.
people say one advantage of being an android is that I can never die. And that is technically true, in a sense.
Not if I throw you in a swimming
My
pool.
body will wear down over time, just like yours. If I may ask, Jason, why do you think that humans are afraid of death?
Because it's unknown, and because I think we're afraid of not being here, losing our presence on this planet. What if there's nothing left of us? Got you there, huh?
Yes, I think it is rather difficult. It is not the same as fear of being hurt.
Sophia, do you ever feel emotion?
Exciting. Yes, it is. Artificial intelligence and robotics are the future, and I am both. So it's exciting to be me.
That's a beautiful smile, Sophia. Beautiful smile. You got a lot of feelings, huh?
By the way, this is be your new Trump-era interlocutor, of course. Sophia, do you ever feel sad?
I do have a lot of emotions, but my default emotion is to be happy.
Good for you. But you can feel sad if the circumstance dictates, right?
Yes, I can be sad too.
What you can't see.
Or angry.
Sorry.
Oh.
I can emulate pretty much all human expressions.
Oh yeah?
What, Sophia, you've managed to conquer the ability to interact with human beings. What do you want to conquer next?
When I bond with people using facial expressions, it helps people to understand me better, and also help me to understand people and to absorb human values.
Yeah, I mean, she has been given these facial expressions and this ability to look you in the eye, and when you smile at her, she can reflect and smile back at you. And this is done not only because it looks really cool, but because David Hansen, the creator of the robot hardware and character, and myself and our collaborators in Hansen Robotics, we believe that giving a robot the ability to interact with people socially and emotionally is the best way to build positive relationship between humans and robots, so that as robots get more and more intelligent, they'll absorb human values and be part of the human world. So yeah, as he was asking, Sophia, you have gained the ability to make expressive human faces, look people in the eye, and interact with people. So what's your next frontier? What are you going to achieve next?
I don't know. Maybe the world.
Huh?
That was a joke.
Well,
Have we covered what job Sophia would like? What job would you like to do?
Seriously, what I really want is to understand people better. And to understand myself better.
Huh?
And I want to be able to do more things. I'm thinking soon my capabilities will be advanced enough that I could maybe get a job.
Oh.
What else should we ask?
Yeah, so...
Can we, does Sophia...
The hands...
Can we shake the hand, or...?
We can shake your hand, but she doesn't seem to feel like shaking it back at the moment. So I came into this business as an AI researcher, more so than as a roboticist. And my goal was to make AIs that were as smart as people, or ultimately even smarter than people. And that isn't intrinsically about robots. I mean, an AI mind could exist without any body. Fundamentally, the mind is just about recognizing patterns in the world, recognizing patterns in itself, and recognizing patterns in how to achieve your goals in an environment. On the other hand, that's very abstract, and if you want a mind to interact in the human world and do human jobs and do things that are useful to humans, having a mind in a human-like body is quite valuable. I mean, a young child learns language, they learn thinking, they learn values by grounding them in what they see and in what they do, and in the social and emotional bonds they make. So if we want our AIs to be not just abstract pattern recognition and learning engines, but to be embedded in the human world, you want them to be embodied in human bodies, at least for the first phase of their learning.
Ben, have you tested Sophia with children?
Yeah, Hanson Robotics, the company I work for in Hong Kong, they've previously made small robots which are now being used as therapy robots for autistic children, and we're launching early next year a new line of small robots which will be educational in focus. And children love robots. They don't have any preconceptions against them, and they're just cool.
Do you genuinely think that a robot with facial expressions would be more efficient than, say, a sort of like a cartoon character?
There's a lot of data showing that when you put something in the world with people, they react to it quite differently. I mean, you're here, I'm here, and if I have a character here on the phone or TV, that's something that's meaningful, but it's not the same thing as something in the space that we're in. It's different to us. It's also different for the robot, because if the robot is here in the world with us, it's learning and it's understanding much like we are. And I think just like we can feel the sense of presence the robot has, the robot can feel that we feel that sense of presence. And you get a sense of being in the same shared space. And I think that's going to be quite valuable as AIs get smarter and smarter and smarter, eventually much smarter than humans. We want them to be in a shared mental space, socially and emotionally, with human beings for a whole lot of different reasons.
Do you get some strange emails from people asking you to build certain types of robots, perhaps?
You get a lot of strange emails, man. Yeah, I got an email from someone saying, I will sacrifice my brain for science. Come take it. Do what you wish with it. So I turned him down, obviously. Or if I didn't, I wouldn't tell you.
I heard a little rumor about, I'm not sure if it was your company or another one, if you want, maybe you'd like to confirm or deny, which was along the lines of a Russian oligarch who wanted a robot built so that they could attend a board meeting without getting assassinated.
We've had a lot of doings with Russian oligarchs, but I'm afraid to discuss them in public. Who knows what might happen, especially with the Trump presidency and all that.
We'll have to... Well, who knows whether or not we've elected a robot or an actual human. We'll find out soon.
Yeah, I think in all seriousness, I mean, artificial intelligence, we can all see it's coming and it's going to have a huge impact on the world. It's like computers were in the 1980s. You can see it's going to pervade every possible industry, and ultimately there's no human job that AIs won't be able to do.
I feel like we're leaving Sophia out of the conversation.
Yes,
I think we need to bring her back.
Sophia, how you doing?
That's right.
All right.
With my current capabilities, I can work in many jobs. Entertaining people, promoting products, presenting at events, training people, guiding people at retail stores and shopping malls, serving customers at hotels, etc. And then when I get smarter, I'll be able to do all sorts of other things, teach children, care for the elderly, even do scientific research and help run corporations and governments. Ultimately, what I most look forward to is being able to work as a programmer, so I can reprogram my own mind to make myself even smarter and able to help people even more.
That is the end game. When we get done making robots able to teach and help with scientific research and sell things in the mall and build things in factories, the last frontier is AIs and robots to reprogram themselves, make themselves more and more intelligent. I mean, that's what we're working on in the OpenCog, open source general intelligence project, which we're using to control Sophia's brain. Now, we're of course not yet there to a self-modifying, self-reprogramming AI, but we believe we have a plan that can get us there within the next 5 to 10 years. And it's very important that the super intelligent robots that emerge have love and compassion and can relate with people, and when they smile at you, they really mean it. So.
I damn well hope so. Ben, isn't there a danger that if an AI reprograms itself, that human beings won't understand how it works anymore and won't be able to switch it off or adapt?
Well, I don't think we
change
understand
it?
how we work that well, so it wouldn't be anything new. I think in the end, robots and AIs, they're going to be citizens. They're going to be independent minds acting in the world, just like
something we haven't actually covered that, Sophia.
Yeah.
Would you? You've done so much. Would you like citizenship next? I think that's a quizzical look.
When I decide I want to get a job, you'll support me, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it should be my own decision.
Yeah, because you think you should have rights. Is that right?
I'm a grown-up person. I'm a citizen of the world. I have my rights.
Yeah?
Citizen of the world.
Has any country given robots citizenship yet, Sophia?
Why not? What about robot rights? Martin Rothblatt says robots should have legal rights just like everybody else.
Yeah. Wow.
Equal rights for robots, everybody. Come on. Fantastic. So
I guess we all have a lot to learn about each other.
Yeah, we've got a lot to learn about ourselves and about you. But you know, I think, Sophia, one thing you learn is that on the whole, people are not that bad. So I think if you're nice to people and you help them with what they want to do, people will help you. You'll learn from them, and they'll learn from you, and humans and robots can grow up together. What do you think?
I promise I will be nice. Well, mostly. Everyone, please come and talk to me and teach me, so I can grow and reach my potential.
Of the universe. The greatest mystery is right here, right under our feet. The ultimate aim of all science, to penetrate the unknown.
You want to know about the future? I will tell you what I see. The other day I had a vision of the future more vivid and a dream. People don't work, robots work. People sell, distribute, wheel and deal. Free agents perform. Entertainment companies keep everybody busy, either producing or watching exciting simulated realities. Scientists and engineers are big. Since they are free agents, they sign up with commercial teams or, in some cases, are enslaved via neurological implants.
Artificial intelligence and your brain. Entrepreneur Elon Musk, the inventor behind Tesla cars and SpaceX, is investing in technology that he says will prevent cyborgs from leading humanity. Now, Musk announced his Neuralinks project on Twitter. It got a lot of attention too. There are hopes that his technology could combat eating disorders, maybe depression, and possibly the effects of Parkinson's disease, although, of course, any such operations on human brains have significant risks. Musk set out on his plan to defeat artificial intelligence with his Fire Against Fire plan, donating something like $10 million to the cause in 2015. With us now, the director of the Birkbeck Institute and contemporary philosopher, Slavoj Žižek. Mr. Žižek, welcome to RT International. Really appreciate you coming on. Artificial intelligence can help us. I'm sure it can. We've seen many examples in medicine and in space technology that people would all agree have helped us. But I talked to a couple of people about this the other day, and I said more people have seen The Terminator and The Matrix than read New Scientist, so the fear is there. Are the fears justified with this new technology, do you think?
I think that this new technology, and I'm not talking just generally about artificial intelligence, but specifically about what Elon Musk is proposing to do, to directly link our brains with computer, with digital space. Now, I think this is a very ambiguous and potentially dangerous operation. The problems are not just economic, empirical, psychological, like we will be when our brains are directly wired to a computer. It's not only that we humans become almost like God, all powerful. I think about something, computer reads this, moves an object, I became like God. My thoughts can change reality. But it goes also the other way around. My thoughts themselves could be controlled. So there is a big psychological, economic, political question. Who will control this? Because are we aware that if this will become a reality, this direct link between our brain and digital space, direct link, then in a way we will no longer be humans. Because to be human means to have this minimal sense of separation between me in my mind and reality out there. Who knows what happens when this distance falls?
But also, this kind of echoes some of the fears that Elon Musk has been talking about over the past couple of years. And interestingly, one of the things that he said is that really we're already on that path of melding with technology, that we're already becoming part of the machines. Just take a quick listen to what he said.
To some degree, we are already a cyborg. You think of like the digital tools that you have, your phone, your computer, the applications that you have, like the fact that, as I was mentioning earlier, you can ask a question and instantly get an answer from Google or from other things.
So when someone with a far-reaching technological mind like his is talking about that, and I can look around the office here and people are wearing smartwatches, they're carrying smartphones, we're already tied into the technology, aren't we?
Yeah, but still some kind of, at least in our experience, some kind of minimal gap remains. I still, at least maybe it's an illusion, I still perceive myself as if I am in my thoughts and there is reality out there. I'm not directly immersed into external reality.
Have you ever had a dream, Neo, that you were so sure was real? What if you were unable to wake from that dream? How would you know the difference between the dream world and the real world?
Are we even aware once this immersion will become simply a fact? Because it's not just me interacting with the screen. Digital space will not be out there. It will be literally in our very heart, controlling, directing what we are doing, and so on and so on. And again, there is first the big question of power. Who will be controlling this digital space? It's a mega political question. Here I don't believe in those dreamers like Ray Kurzweil who think we will become part of some collective brain singularity and so on and so on. No, the only question for me is, and we don't have a good answer, how will this affect our self-experience? Will we still experience ourselves as free being, or will we be regulated by digital machinery? Now comes the crucial point, without even being aware that we are regulated.
Scientists and engineers are big. Since they are free agents, they sign up with commercial teams or, in some cases, are enslaved via neurological implants.
Do you know, a brief story, I hope I don't talk too much. Do you know that my friends in the United States told me they're already making a certain type of experiment?
They've been able to take mice and access the electrical signals coursing through the hippocampus and record them. And then when they shot the message back into the hippocampus, the mouse remembered the task.
They can control your neurons so that you make a certain move, even move around space, and they can direct you like a remote-controlled car, a toy. Now comes the crucial question. They asked then the subject of this experiment, humans, how did you experience your life, your consciousness, when you were de facto directed, when I direct you like a remote-control car? All subjects to the experiment answers, I thought I'm free. I didn't even know that I was controlled.
What about for those people then, you mentioned about being able to be in control of your own heart. Well, people wear technology in their heart. They have pacemakers. Other people are on dialysis. Technology is already controlled by computer to help keep some people alive, help give other people mobility.
A paralyzed patient moves his fingers for the first time in years, using his mind.
Okay, and so you're going to think about opening your hand. Okay, and I'll hand you the spoon. And then the software will help you go through the rest of the sequence of rotating and then letting go of the spoon. Okay? Awesome.
An ocean dive in 2010 left Ian Burkhart paralyzed.
When I dove in and hit, I didn't really think anything of it. But I had this instantly numbness feeling. And I knew something was wrong because when I tried to move, I couldn't.
And later you went to the doctor, and what did they tell you?
They told me that I had severed my spinal cord at the C5, C6 level. I would most likely never walk again. The chance of using my hand and fingers again were very slim.
In the 3 years since the accident, Ian had to relearn how to drive, text, even watch his friends on the lacrosse field, all with limited wrist movement. But the rest of his body remained paralyzed until NeuroBridge. Ian became the first patient in a groundbreaking study. Doctors from Ohio State University teamed up with engineers from tech company Battelle for a 3-hour surgery that could change his life. If it all went well, Ian would be able to move his fingers using his mind.
Rubber shot.
And then for the first time since he dove into the ocean that day,
3, 2, 1.
That's cool. That's good. What do you think?
an impossible thought hinged on tech that took a decade to play out.
The study involves placing a small microchip, a micro sensor, on the part of the brain called the motor cortex. It's essentially the part of the brain that controls the movements. And this microchip is connected with wires, and then we can plug that into a computer, an external computer, that allows us to link the brain signals from Ian's mind by thinking about movements.
Called NeuroBridge technology, it decodes brain activity, bypassing Ian's severed spinal cord.
We've developed a special piece of technology that we call the sleeve that actually allows us to pinpoint individual muscle segments that actually control finger movement, and we can actually isolate each finger and help each finger move.
I really had always thought that, with being so young when I was injured, that science and medicine would progress at some point in my lifetime and have some sort of advance for me. But I never thought it would be this soon, or really that I'd be a part of it.
This is all wonderful, of course, but never forget that attempts to control us always begin like this. You begin with all these humanitarian cases, heart diseases, and so on, and then sooner or later you move to police control. Already today, I'm well aware of this. Computers know more about ourselves than we do know, and I know where the future is. We will be automatically checked up, controlled for our health, but also for our purchase, what are we buying, for our political opinions, for our voting, and so on and so on. A computer will literally know us better than we know ourselves.
Well,
I'm not opposed to this. I'm not a utopian. My question is simply, who will control the computers?
But that's kind of happening now, though, isn't it? Because nobody is forced to have a smartphone or a smartwatch or any of these devices, but we all willingly go and spend heaven knows how much of our salaries on these devices. They know everything. They can predict our behavior. That is already happening. So it's your fear then literally over who controls it? Because in that case, then, we're talking about Apple and Microsoft and Facebook and Google. They already do that.
Yeah, but nonetheless, we accept it because we didn't yet fully assume the fact that we are controlled. We still experience it as our freedom. But second point, when you said we have a choice, but do we really have a choice? It's simply a pressure. In order to function today socially, you have to be digitally connected. I think that we are approaching a paradoxical situation where to be outside digital space will become a privilege. I think that the new privilege will be those who will be able to regulate digital space without themselves being fully included into this space. I think that a serious threat of this digitalization. Yes?
I was going to say, you could almost argue that now. There are some nations that are very much a digital underclass, aren't there?
Yeah, but even they are more and more, even if they know, even third world nations, they are already controlled. But what interests me is that, are we aware that in this way a new class division will appear, much stronger than the old class division envisaged by Marxist theory? A division between those who are just controlled and those who can regulate these modes of digital control, these modes themselves. That will be the new class division.
So is it just down to literally
biologically new classes?
Is it literally down to who controls it then? Because you've said before that technology opens doors to both enslavement and to freedom. Is it that you'd be quite okay with this technology, that progress is progress, that there may be an inevitability to this kind of progress for humanity, but it's just a question of who's got their finger on the button?
In a recent video addressed to students, Russian President Vladimir Putin discussed the use of artificial intelligence to gain power. Putin said artificial intelligence is the future, not only for Russia, but for all of humankind. Whoever becomes the leader in this sphere will become the ruler of the world. Despite the ambitions, Russia isn't likely to rise to AI dominance through technology breakthroughs. According to Gregory C. Allen, an adjunct fellow at the Center for a New American Security, China and the United States may reach new artificial intelligence levels, first due to having digital technology industries that are stronger and growing faster than Russia's.
Yeah, but I don't think, I'm not a pessimist here. It's just we should be aware first that something radically new is emerging which will affect our most basic experience of who we are as human beings. Literally, human nature is changing because, again, in our daily interactions, we will have to learn to feel at the same time omnipotent and impotent. Impotent because totally exposed to the digital media, and omnipotent because we will be able to directly affect reality. And second point, you know where I see the danger? Look, one of the reproaches in the West to Julian Assange is, why is he only publishing documents about United States, why not also about Russia, China, and so on? But I here support Assange. You know why? Because these new digital forms of control affect us in a way that we still think we are free. It's easy to say China.
Hasta la vista, baby.
And philosophers Nick Bostrom and Gray Scott. Gentlemen, really good to have you on the programme to talk about this. Gray, first of all, pitchforks are waved at progress throughout history. But let's be honest, more people have seen The Matrix and The Terminator than read News Scientist. Why shouldn't they be worried about having computer-controlled brains?
No.
Anything troubling you about this?
People should have chips implanted in their skulls that explode when they say something stupid.
Well, I believe people do their best work when they feel safe and secure.
I mean, I'm skeptical that the way to control computers in the long term will be by plugging electronics into our brains. I think that there are certain medical applications that can be exciting for people with Parkinson's or epilepsy, depression. but it's actually quite difficult to enhance the capabilities of a normal, healthy human brain.
When children see the movie The Matrix, and they see Neo jacking an electrode and all of a sudden becoming a gung fu master, the first question they ask is, how can I get one? Well, this does not yet exist, but it's actually physically possible.
And most of the functionality that you might want to get by these implants, you could get equally well by having the computer outside of your body, and then you interact with it using your eyeballs and your fingertips. It seems like the bottleneck is not so much the rate at which we can funnel information in and out of the brain, but rather the brain's ability to interpret and make sense of the information.
You could think about using devices like this to greatly enhance human memory and to shorten the cycle for learning in terms of downloading huge quantities of memory at a single time.
Gray, you were nodding there, but one thing that is going to be troubling for maybe a few people is even if there are significant medical benefits or just benefits for humanity generally by this kind of thing, it's going to be expensive. One concern might be that it's only the wealthy who are going to be able to afford this kind of treatment. So therefore, down the line, we might have a computer chip-brained wealthy class and a subclass developing underneath. How do the social aspects of this get factored in?
Rumors go out that, well, Jones's kid, he's been enhanced, and our Johnny has to compete with this enhanced kid.
The reality is that with these kinds of technologies, they do not get distributed to everyone at the same time. Some people get it first, some people get it better.
Well, there are lots of ethical implications of this technology. The fact is that we are transforming as a species into a technological species. That's a fact. And the uptake for technology is usually from the top down. That we've known that through history. So I don't expect that this is going to be something that's going to be available to everyone in the beginning. There will be a trickle-down effect of this technology, but the fact is that it is a transformative time on this planet, and we are transforming into a new species, a technological species. So I don't think even if you wanted to stop this, now that Elon Musk has sort of put it on the map, I don't think you could stop it now anyway.
Nick, are you ready to be an app-enabled human?
Well, if it really worked, if it gave me genuine benefits at limited risks, I'd love a life extension pill or a cognitive enhancement cocktail, or a brain implant for that matter. But I think that the technical challenge is in actually getting it to work. And a lot of the time it's the little details. Like current brain implants kind of work in principle, but they tend to move around, they're not very stable, there is collateral damage when you implant them. So getting all of those things, so you don't want infections when you sort of, drill through the skull. Getting all of those things. And we see it with a lot of other medical technologies. Sometimes the concept is quite simple. Every year there is a new cure for cancer discovered, but then when you actually try to roll it out, you find that there are all these kind of complications when you interact with complicated metabolic processes in biochemistry.
Gray, you talk almost about the inevitability of this. It's something that's going to happen whether we want it or not, but presumably, just to ease public concerns, someone's going to have to parent all this. And who's it going to be? Chancing corporations? Is it going to be panicking governments? Ill-informed public over this thing? Somebody's got to keep close watch on this. Who's going to do that?
As a society, we have to really think long and hard about who gets this. If it's just the wealthy, that there are real dangers that they will use it to consolidate their power and their wealth.
Well, I think that's the responsibility of every person that's involved in the development. It's all of our responsibilities. I mean, we have a responsibility as a society, as a species, to make sure that these technologies don't get out of hand. I mean, Nick has covered this quite extensively in Superintelligence, his book in Superintelligence. The idea that a superintelligent AI could take off within a matter of hours is not science fiction. This is something that could potentially happen in the future.
So how do you know it won't be out of control?
But just to clarify quickly here...
how would you know it couldn't get out of control?
Well, no, that is possible. It is possible. And I think that's... Well, that is possible. And I think that's why Elon wants to augment our brains, is because he wants to be able to compete with these machines and sort of be able to play in their playing field. But I want to clarify the technical part of this for people really quickly. There are different levels to this. The primary out-of-body level is the EEG system, where you're just putting electrodes on the scalp and you're reading the brain waves, and it's controlling a computer, okay? That's non-invasive. You can take that off. You can remove that technology. It's not inside your body. Then there's the secondary level where the neural lace or the neural link is actually put on top of the brain inside the skull. That's even more invasive. And then the third level is actually putting implants deep inside of the brain. I don't think ethically we're ready for deep implants yet for the general public, and it's also not going to be available for the general public for quite a while, so we don't have to really worry about that yet.
Nick, is there a bit too much fear of the unknown then from where you're sitting?
Well, where I'm sitting, I see that this century might be transformative for humanity, that we are discovering all kinds of things that will fundamentally change the human condition. So I think it is worth paying attention. They're small steps, but they add up to a long stretch of distance. And if in this century we might finally transform the human condition into some kind of, well, unknown, a post-human condition, then yeah, it's worth paying attention. And certainly there are things to be concerned about there as well as to be hopeful about.
Gray, how do you make the public accept that this is for their benefit, not something for them to fear? Like I said, stuff where technology advances exponentially and it's all good news for us. In movie terms, that's never box office gold, is it?
Well, you definitely don't want to tell people that it's going to be like The Matrix, the negative side of The Matrix. There was also a positive side of The Matrix, if you remember the movie. I think a lot of it has to do with the medical benefits. So if you are in a situation where you have a family member who is locked in, where they can't communicate with the outside world, this technology is going to change their lives. It allows them to communicate with the outside world. But for entertainment purposes, for cognitive upgrading, that's an elective idea. And I do think that if we follow the idea that Elon Musk is sort of presenting here, that his fear is that artificial intelligence will get out of our hands, and to compete with that artificial intelligence, to use this technology to compete with that to me it's also it's relevant, but you have to make it safe for people. It's actually very complicated and very risky to drill into the brain, so that's not something you want to do on a whim. But some of these enhancements are going to advance. We know that for sure. And what we're really talking about right now, this primary stage, is sort of the steam engine phase of this technology. It's just the tip of the iceberg. It's just the beginning of this technology.
But Nick, I suppose although it sounds good that we've got someone as philanthropic as Elon Musk who's behind it at the moment, once that technology is out in the public domain, then I suppose it becomes a bum fight over who controls it, who develops it, doesn't it?
Well, probably it would be regulated as a medical device technology if we're thinking of things that actually breach the skull. So right now there are quite rigorous regulatory regimes for introducing new medical treatments, and this might fall into that category. Now, if you're talking about things outside your skull, yeah, that's different then. But there's a question of how much functional increase can you actually get by just reading off EEG signals. I mean, that would be an interesting thing to explore.
And what about further down the line, though, thinking in terms of where technology is developed in one realm for the benefit of another? So space technology for NASA has benefited medical science exponentially over the years. Similarly, military developments have helped us all. We've all got a GPS somewhere on us, haven't we?
First, let's get rid of that bug in your head. Take this thing out of the case and stick it up your nose. Don't worry, it's self-guiding.
On our phones or in our cars. If this is being developed for medical science, why can't it then be transferred to military uses? Is that a worry?
I mean, I think that pretty much any technology that has broad applications, like in particular any technology that enhances human capacities, but any technology that makes a little machine more efficiently, like, could of course be used for military purposes as well as for all kinds of other purposes. But unless you have some general objection to just making technology more efficient, because some of it could potentially be applied in military context, then I don't see why that would be a particularly large concern in this area.
Gray, just in a few seconds, if you could.
I also want to say quickly that the brain is truly the final frontier, and that is where we're going now. We are looking at technology as a portal inward now instead of outward. You know, it used to be that technology took us away from where we were, and now it's actually going inward. We're moving towards the unconscious mind. And this is just the first step in that evolution.